all I did was research Duchenne, which I don't encourage anybody to do on the internet.
Yeah.
My wife was upstairs. She was sleeping. I woke her up about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I said, listen, I know we had this plan, but I can't do it. She said, well, she can't live this way. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to figure it out. I said, but we're going to fight.
Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles, and we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
Guys, welcome back to Breaking Barriers. We have my guy, Jim Raffone. What's up, man?
How you doing, buddy?
How we doing?
I'm great.
If you know Jim, that means you know Jar of Hope, because Jim bleeds green everywhere he goes. Everything he wears, all of it. You have a phenomenal story. Anybody who follows Adapting Social or My Journey has seen, you've been a part of our story too for the past few years, which has been fantastic. You're on this mission. So Jim was a, former contractor.
Yes.
Right. That then had, his son be diagnosed with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. And that changed your entire life. And your wife's life and your daughter's lives all very fast at once. And, you're a man on a mission right now to be the first save.
Yes.
Is that correct? Is that accurate?
So Jar of Hope's mission is to save the first child.
Yeah.
So Duchenne has been around for 200 years.
Right.
And not one child has ever been saved.
Right. But James is going to be the first.
I hope so.
Along with the other people that are in the group, right?
I do. And I hope we can, with the technology that we're bringing into this fight, that other families jump on board with us and get involved, put their child in a private study with us so that we can help them as well. Because, this was inspired by Jamesy, but it's not about Jamesy. It's about all the children who suffer from Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And I would love to save the first child. I'd love it to be Jamesy, but it doesn't have to be. Because if we can save the first child and figure that out, then we can apply it to all the other children.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And, so you sold or, essentially, did you sell your business or you stopped doing it?
So crazy story. And, I look back and I think about the young fellow who was just murdered. And, his wife took 3 days to speak, which I think was brilliant. And but when my son was diagnosed, and doctors, 6 of them, told me to go home and love your son because there's nothing you can do to save him.
Right.
Just put me in a tailspin. And I own a construction company. It was called World of Stone. And I recall sitting in my office just, in a pile of tears thinking about how was I going to save my son. And I looked around at all the assets that I had in the business between dump trucks and bobcats and tools, and I sold it all, John. I spoke to the University of Minnesota. They wanted $580,000 to put on a small little trial.
Yep.
And I had to do something. And putting that together was it. So I sold everything to come up with the money to put forth this private little study. And it worked out remarkably, but I sold everything, even down to the chair I was sitting in.
In the business?
In the business, everything.
Right.
It was a fire sale. I told my assistant, get an auction company, have them come out here and just sell it.
Right.
I don't care what it is. And the problem, or what led to that, was I went to my family. Nobody knew what Duchenne was. And then, believe it or not, some people were taken back. They were like, what do you mean there's no cure? It's a muscle wasting disease. We what technology and what science.
How could we get a man on the moon?
Right, but we can't stop muscle from
Yeah.
deteriorating in these kids' bodies.
Right.
And, and then the more people I spoke to, the circle started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And everybody was like, what is Duchenne? We never heard of Duchenne. We've heard of muscular dystrophy, thanks to Jerry Lewis, but no one had ever heard of Duchenne, and the fact that you can't cure it. Which led to the fact that I had to take the bull by the horns and I had to do something. I just was not going to take that advice, go home and love my son. I love my son already. He's 4. I've loved him for 5 years now, since he was in my wife's belly. I couldn't wait.
Yeah, to meet him.
Yeah. And that's what we did.
Right. And so, when I think about that, so for people listening in, so you're the guy who found this out. Your son has, what they're calling for 200 years, a terminal, illness. Go home, love your son. you go right into action. Knowing you now, I can only imagine entrepreneur Jim. but boom, get everything done, fire sale, sell everything. Let's do this test. At Minnesota, you said.
At University of Minnesota.
University of Minnesota, and goes all in. And I remember, so when I met you 2-3 years ago from Kim Kravitz, now Kimmy Buck.
Yeah.
She said to me, you got to meet this guy. Like this guy, he's got a great story. He's a man on a mission. And at the time when you came in, Jacqueline was pregnant.
Yes.
We just had her, because it took us 4 years to have Johnny.
Right.
To have a kid. And I remember sitting down with you and you started telling me the story. And I had no idea what to expect. She just said, hey, here's Jar of Hope, whatever, here's the website. Like, Jim's going to come in and I'll meet him. And dude, Jim wears green because he's the fucking Hulk. Like this guy comes in, and I remember you just blew my mind with the extent, and I didn't understand because I wasn't a father yet.
Right.
I had a pending child, and and you started to tell a story, and I remember you saying, because Jack was in the room too with us. She was actually there that day.
She was sitting across on the other side of the table.
Yep.
And I was very cautious of the words.
I remember
I was
you saying, hey, I want to tell you, but like, I know she's with child. And we were like, listen, just let it rip. We're good. And I'm sure you still kind of secured some words and stuff. But like, ultimately, I remember like tearing up. And then when you left, I was emotional, and Jack was emotional. But I didn't understand it yet though, because I know like if it was at the time, my only thing I can relate it to is if it was my wife, I would do anything. If it was my brother, I would do anything. Whatever. My family, my mother, I would do anything. But when it's your kid, that's a whole other level that nobody knows.
When you had little Johnny in your hands,
right?
And if you thought about Jamesy and any of those moments,
oh my goodness, yeah,
you would do the same,
dude. And so, right. So my point is that like, so I remember thinking like, not being a parent yet, and having a kid in the way, like, damn, like, this guy's running marathons, doing these crazy runs, doing a quadrillion push-ups. Like, your life has changed to build this mission to help Jamesy and the other kids that are going through this. And I found that so impressive because, not many people, there are people who, have kids that have other terminal illnesses, and they stop their lives for a little bit, and then, they try to do everything they can to get the kid good, and then they just go back to normal life.
Right.
And with you completely changed your entire mission in life and focus to not be about, commerce and business and, stone, right? You shifted everything to be about, your family and Jamesy. And I admire that, you're a big source of inspiration for me because, again, like I think so many people say this one thing that to me that is pulverizing, which is, most men would say, I would die for my family.
Right.
I would do anything I would die for my family. But how many people live for their family every day?
True.
And do the work.
That's a great way to.
And that's what you're doing. So for me, I was like, damn, this guy every day is getting up and he's figuring out how to raise more capital to get more studies and to help more things, and so that these things, these trials and et cetera, can get to a place where now the first save is possible, and then now it's a treatable thing, right? Up until 200 years of history, there was never a gym that said, I'm not gonna, because when you hear that, most people would take that and go home and say, I'm good. Like, you mentioned that, at one point you considered suicide, and I'll get to that in a second.
Wow. Yeah.
But
this guy doesn't forget anything.
No, but on that note though, you in 200 years are the first person, right, to say, and I'm sure there's been others that have attempted in some cases, but I don't think there hasn't been anybody that's ever gone to this extent. So it took Jamesy being born and you being born to have this level of attention to Duchenne's. And so here we are, you stop everything, you're running around the world, you're doing push-ups, you're getting people, in a room like we did at that last event. That was a phenomenal turnout.
Thank you.
And so, it just, for all the fathers that are out there, I think, you think about people that you respect and admire, and most of them, I would say, if we put 20 people in a room, we asked them who they thought the most of and respected the most, I guarantee you that at least 99% of those people, if not 95, are people who have been through hell and back, because you respect people who have calluses, fucking scars, have good stories because they were tough. And that's what your story is. You know, it's not an easy cakewalk, right?
No.
You're doing stuff. Dude, I could have fucking cried when you were on stage talking about how, you know, Jamesy's driving.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like who in the history has ever probably done that?
Right.
You're right? So
Yeah.
like the mountains that you're moving for your son is truly, truly inspiring. And, you know, and that's why I love that thought process of like, hey, you know, you're living for Jamesy and for your family, of course, right? But not many people do that. They say like, oh, I would do anything for my kids. I would die for my kids. I would die for my family. But like, you know, they aren't putting in the work. They aren't living for them. They're not drinking and like being a shithead. They're not being the best they can be in their careers. They're not doing the things that make them a role model for their kids.
Right.
And that's a lot of 90% of people that are like, shit, like I wish I could be a better mom or a better dad or whatever. You know, they're not doing the living part.
Right.
Words and a mentality doesn't mean shit, right? Oh, I would do anything for my kids. Well, would you? Right? And I believe you're the guy that is.
Well, thank you. You've said a lot of flattering stuff here just now,
And I mean it.
And I appreciate that. And it's not something my intentions were. My intentions from the get-go. You know, you brought up about suicide, right? So the weekend he was diagnosed Friday the 13th.
Of all freaking days.
Of all, yeah. And by 4:00 that afternoon, my wife. We had a conversation, and the future did not look good that was painted to us, right? My son was going to deteriorate right in front of our eyes, and even more so, like his sisters. He's got two older sisters, and in front of their eyes, right? So how does this dynamic work throughout the family? My wife, who lost her father, and she was 13 years old.
Right.
She lost her mother when she was 30.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and now she's looking at burying her son. And
Yeah.
her and
tough.
I have been friends since we're 12 years old.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, a long time. So it's not just the love and admiration I have for my wife.
Right.
I'm her friend.
Right.
And as a friend, I can't see her go through this. So, and then it's told that the disease is passed from the mom to the child. So it was crippling her.
Yeah.
And her thought was Monday morning, because we had so many family members come over that Friday and Saturday, was Monday morning, we're going to put the kids in the car, put the car in the garage, shut the door, and we're all going to go peacefully into sleep. Two things changed everything, the whole dynamic,
Right.
in an instant. The first one being someone had the smarts to take the children out of the house. Which was brilliant because we were not of sound mind.
No.
We started what I learned now was the grieving process of the son that my wife bore, you know, for 4 years. We had 4 years to plan his future. Was now, no, that is gone. I was told, forget the baseball bat. He'll never be strong enough to pick it up. Forget the glove. Forget the football.
Yeah.
The sports, it's all out. Forget
Right.
all that. Forget him going to college. By 21, you'll be burying your son. So, and one of the things, and I appreciate you picking that up when I spoke that night, was they told us instead of buying a car for your son, you're going to need an ancillary breathing device.
Right.
So he'll never drive. And over the course of the years, we've changed that trajectory where now my son's got his permit and he's going to be going to a 3-week course to learn how to drive.
Let's go.
Which is phenomenal. But the second thing, Monday the 15th was my mother's birthday. And when I woke up that morning, it dawned on me it was my mother's birthday, and I thought to myself,
Can't do this on this day.
there's no way my mother can learn that her son, her grandson, and
Oh, God, yeah.
granddaughters, they all died on her birthday.
Right.
So that was the precipice where I went upstairs. I'll never forget it. I didn't sleep that whole weekend. All I did was research Duchenne, which I don't encourage anybody to do on the internet.
Yeah.
Call me. Was that my wife was upstairs. She was sleeping. I woke her up about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I said, listen, I know we had this plan, but I can't do it. And she said, well, she can't live this way. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to figure it out. I said, but we're going to fight. And all I'm asking is you just follow me. Just support whatever it is that I do. And I promise you, I'm going to fix this somehow. Because as men,
Yeah.
that's what we're fixers, right?
We're fixers.
We're not emotional.
No.
We're not there. We're fixers. So if something's broke, we're going to fix it. And something was broke inside my son.
Yeah.
And my thought process the whole weekend is, how do I fix it? All I got to do is fix it. If anything, I got to slow the disease down to where the real smart people can fix
Can
it.
jump in, right.
Right. And, we've been blessed to have you in our corner, Kim in our corner, and so many, thousands of other people over the course of the last 12 years that we've got Jamesy to a point where he has slowed this disease down, that he is not going to be on a vent by his 17th birthday. And
Right.
I'm not allowing that to happen. He's still 16 years old. He has use of his arms, where they told me by 15 he'd be a quadriplegic. And if there's anybody who has a child or knows someone who has a child with Duchenne, please have them reach out to Jar of Hope, Jim at jarofhope.org, and get involved, or at least ask questions how that person that you know who has Duchenne, how we could help them. Because that's why I have this foundation. It's inspired by Jamesy, but it's for all the children who have
Right.
Duchenne.
Yeah. And so on that note, though, listen, I think anybody who's a father or a mother watching and listening, they know how much they care about their kids, and, if they don't have kids, their family. And like I said, the shit I was saying earlier wasn't flattery. It was the truth. You're putting in work that people talk about but never walk the walk.
Right.
You know what I mean? And your wife is too. Obviously, she's along the ride. Your daughter's along the ride. Everybody's along the ride. And I'm grateful that you decided that day that you weren't going to do that to your mother.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, again, like I said, in 200 years, there's never been a Jim and a Jamesy doing what you're doing. So that's proof, right? Because
Right.
how many people just accept the world the way it is and say, especially with a doctor. Typically, when a doctor tells you something, it's final.
That's it.
You're like, this is what the doctor said. But you said, fuck that, right? In my own words.
Yeah.
And you are going above and beyond. So anyway, I get to live this forever, but you are the father that most of us, should aspire to be. Because like you said, we're fixers.
Right.
We want to fix shit, right? And we want to make things okay in our family and in our lives and stuff. And, you're doing it at this scale that most people, couldn't even imagine. And I thought about you deeply because my son Vincenzo, he got diagnosed with SVT and WPW. He's a heart condition. Mm-hmm. And, one day I'm sitting here, it was like a year ago in the summertime, and my in-laws were over for dinner. Thank God they were there. And we put this thing called the Owlet sock on. And shout out to the Owlet sock. But essentially, it monitors their vitals. Mm-hmm. And it's to prevent SIDS. So, or to let us know, hey, the kid, whatever. So we have a fighting chance, God forbid, it ever happen.
Sure.
So one day we're sitting there, we're getting ready to put them to bed, and we just put it on Vincenzo, and all of a sudden the monitor's buzzing. And it's going off, and we never heard it. It's a different type of, the base station is making this crazy noise. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Right.
We open it, and it says his heartbeat is 280 beats per minute.
No kidding.
And I'm like, this thing is fucking broken. So we take it off, because he's just kind of sitting there normally. So we take it off, put it back on him. No. 260, 280. And so long story short, we're like, we got to get him to the hospital.
Right.
And I'm like, how the fuck do you even get that high?
Right.
Like, his heart's going to, explode.
Sure.
So we rush his ass to the hospital, get him there. They're doing all this work on him. They're plugging him in with shit, dude. It was something that was really emotional for me and Jacqueline to watch because we didn't know what was going to happen. Thank God, the doctors were good. The nurses were good. We had a great pediatric cardiologist come in and figure everything out. And so he's good. But in that moment, I didn't know if I was going to lose my son.
Right.
Because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Mm-hmm. And in that room, there's nothing I could do. I just see doctors working on him. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, what
Helpless.
The fuck can I do?
Yeah.
Right? And we're yelling things to doctors and nurses, because they're communication. When you're in those moments, they don't know, it's not their kid.
Right.
So they're just doing a job. And I'm like, do that faster. Like she this one nurse, remember this one nurse said something, and the other guy in the room didn't hear it. And she repeated herself. He didn't, and I fucking screamed it. Right? I'm like, who, are you listening?
Right.
Anyway, thank God the nurses at Jersey Shore, shout out to them. They're fucking angels and amazing. But I thought about you in that moment because, Chenzo has something that like we're able to, give medication to and he's okay.
Okay.
And it's scary, right? But like, it's okay. And I thought about you in that moment because, what you and your wife are doing is really powerful, So for people out there that are listening, I want you to tell them, where can they find you? Where can they engage with you guys? How can they help? Is there anything coming up soon that they could donate or be a part of? That's your camera right there. Let's hit that.
Sure. So jarofhope.org. You can go there, do all the research you'd like about the foundation. You can make a donation there if you'd like as well. What we have coming up in January is we have 104 people who are going to run the Run Disney Marathon weekend for us. I myself am running as well. This will be my 11th consecutive year down there running. It's a 4-day event, a 5K, a 10K, a half, and a full marathon in 4 days. It's about 50 miles. You can go there and support my run efforts for that. If you would like to reach out to me personally, it's jim@jarofhope.org.
My big thing is this. Anybody listening to this that's made it to this point, do something that maybe you wouldn't think you would normally do, right? Which is like, even if there's no donation too little.
No. We have a donation link that's $4 a month.
Yeah. Right? So like, even if it's a one-time whatever, like donation helps this mission that in 200 years,
right,
Jim is pioneering right now with the amazing experts and doctors and medical staff, but that you're pushing this in front of.
Yes.
Right? So a man on a mission to be the first save, Jar of Hope. Jim, thank you so much, brother.
Bro, thank you.
Appreciate you, man.